Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's session of the Soul Spark Online Retreat, where you get to take some time to create the space to reflect, reset, recharge, and re-energize so that you get to come into 2021 with a whole new energy and a whole new vibration. I am Andrea Ivanka, your host, and I am super fired up because this week, as you've seen, is all about recharging and re-energizing, and we're going to dive into that in a pretty big way with today's special guest, Deborah Hurwitz. Like, I'm so fired up. I had to wear red, like fire engine red, because I'm so fired up. So Deborah and I actually met over a year ago when I interviewed her for one of our online summits, and I just fell in love with her vibrant energy. And when I thought about what do we want to create when we talk about getting over things like procrastination and perfectionism and bringing energy in, really creating space for play and self-forgiveness and all these things, I automatically thought of Deborah. And I think you're going to love her energy. So let me introduce you to her so that whether you're meeting her for the first time or you just love her and you're going deeper into her work, you get to know a little bit about her. So Deborah uses her signature PACT system, and with that, she helps ambitious professionals to break through the paralysis of perfectionism and procrastination so they complete the projects and goals that matter most to them. She is a composer, conductor, and recording artist whose internationally acclaimed projects include Cirque du Soleil, Cyndi Lauper, and the Broadway smash hit Jersey Boys. Like, she's incredible. She has written, arranged, and produced music for television shows ranging from Sesame Street to CNN Tonight. She released 2 independent CDs as a singer-songwriter, Deborah Marlowe, and she's performed on The Tonight Show, the Tony Awards, and twice at the White House. Wow. So both as a career artist and online entrepreneur, Deborah has mastered the art of single tasking, eliminating doubt and distraction to achieve remarkable industry successes while honoring her creative self-expression and personal integrity, something that I think is so important for all of us. She now helps a tribe of 15,000 strong to do the same through her online shows and mission accomplished coaching programs. She is also an award-winning speaker and co-author of the Amazon #1 bestseller, She Made It Happen, 22 inspiring stories from female entrepreneurs around the world. So today, what she is taking us through is something called the Fire It Up Lab, Productivity for Perfectionists. So I kind of laugh because I say I'm a recovering perfectionist, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. But here's what's going to happen in her session is she's going to take you through breaking free of the punishment paradigm that keeps you stuck in procrastination and paralysis. So if you've ever gone through those, you're going to love that. She's going to help you access the clarity and positive feedback you long for as an impact-driven leader, creator, or seeker. She's going to help you to hear what your inner critic is really trying to tell you, and it's not what you might think. So you're going to love that. And finally, she's going to help you dismantle the fears that have ravaged your well-being and get things done instead. So one of the things that you are going to find with Deborah is that she will get you unstuck and out of that perfectionism trap that hinders so many perfectionists or recovering perfectionists like me. So she's got high energy. She talks fast. She definitely brings the fire. So grab your journal, grab something to write in, and let's jump right on into her session.
Hi, everyone. I'm Deborah Hurwitz, composer, music director, and founder of Productivity for Perfectionists, where artists, entrepreneurs, and perfectionists of all stripes come to break through procrastination and get their most important work done. Today, I'm thrilled to present a brand new training that brings together the best, juiciest, and most effective tidbits I've learned and taught over the years. And my intention is that by the time we're done here, you are unstuck. You know your next steps, and you're actually able to take them so you can move the needle on what matters most to you. So I'm going to jump right in. I speak quickly. You might need to come back and rewind a little bit, but I want to cover a lot of ground here. So I'm going to start with a quick story. You probably know the line, if you build it, they will come. From Field of Dreams. Depending on your age, you will be more or less familiar with this film. But I'll give you a quick punch list. So 80s heartthrob Kevin Costner plays a simple corn farmer who gets struck by a vision through voices in his head. He has this unstoppable urge. The voice speaks. He is Compelled. It's this Hollywood classic. And instead of planting corn, he instead builds a baseball field. And he faces all sorts of doubters and critics, and he's facing financial ruin and social ridicule. And yet he persists, and the baseball diamond gets built and painted and lit. And finally, after all the sweat and the tears and the doubt and the struggle, comes the glory. And the ghost of players past that no one else could see become visible. There's this impossible miracle baseball game being played by these deceased all-time greats. And the film closes with Kevin Costner, arms around his wife, and this triumphant shot as they stand on a hill and watch the trail of headlights snake around the mountains and miles of countryside, with hundreds or thousands of people coming to buy their tickets and watch the game. It is a perfect fable. It is a beautiful, triumphant Hollywood hero's journey. And it's what a perfectionist wants most. Clarity, surety, the knowledge that this is the path forward. This is our grand destiny. And for some of us, most of all, the unequivocal feedback, ideally immediately as soon as we finish whatever we're doing, that this was exactly the right thing to do, and we did a great job. And as artists and creative professionals and impact-driven entrepreneurs, we are generally starving for that kind of clarity and feedback. What actually happens is we toil in solitude and we stress about what might or might not happen, and we second guess ourselves right out of existence. And further, with the modern noise floor of incessant pings and dings, nonstop comparisons to literally millions of other people who we think might be doing sort of what we're doing, but we're not sure because it's through layers of Instagram filters and public Facebook posts, and we just subject ourselves to these relentless interruptions, the external interruptions through all of the physical distractions around us, and the internal interruptions through our mental chatter as we react to all of these triggers. Now, when we try to fix this from the outside in, when we try to figure out what it's supposed to look like or know what we are creating before we start, when we look to others for how it's supposed to go, even though what we're looking for is surety and validation and clarity, what we actually do is perpetuate our own insecurity, depending on those external triggers, external sources. And then we feel unequipped, ill-equipped to make any sort of decisive moves or decisions of any kind. We don't want to take risks. We stop creating. If we ever started, we become consumers taking in instead of producers bringing forth. Now, we actually do have an inner compass and a deep, wide channel of creative life force that wants to come through us and through our self-expression. We don't actually have to come up with that. And there are plenty of ways that you can discover that for yourself, but as a premise for this session, go ahead and try on that you don't actually have to come up with your creativity. That is there. That is happening all day long. What we need to do is get out of the way, get all that stuff on the surface out of the way, and allow what's deeply true for us to come through. And that's what this training session is all about. So I'm actually going to now jump into sharing the screen. I'm going to do a brief presentation here. Let's hope that this actually works. All right, I'm hoping that that actually works. And what I'm showing you right now is one of my favorite little illustrations. And this is a way for us now to get into our heads so that we can get out of our heads and get our work out into the world. But I love this illustration because while it's a tad simplistic, this is not a neurotransmitter class or a full cerebral function class, but it is a way for us to kind of understand our heads and our emotions a little bit better. So you'll see here on the left side, we have that stuff that perfectionists deal with all day long. We have the analyst, we have the critic, we have logic, control, reason, sensible things, the way the world is supposed to go, right? And on the right, we have our right brains, our beautiful, nonsensical, creative right hemispheres with yearning and poetry and color and feeling, right? And what happens is we think that we need to figure a bunch of stuff out so that we can then make what we're supposed to make, sell what we're supposed to sell, paint what we're supposed to paint, write what we're supposed to write, etc. But what's actually true is that we need to get what's in the right brain out in front of us so that our left brain can go, oh, well, here's the word for that. Oh, well, here's who I need to call to share that. Oh, here's a great collaborator for that project, right? We don't actually know what we've got until we start getting the work out in front of us. And until we start circulating those creative impulses and that creative juju that comes through. So it's not that you write, figure stuff out and then write it down, or figure stuff out and then make a thing. It's that you write or you start to find out what you know. By doing, as my friend Dr. Gina Hyatt says, by doing, you find out what you've got inside. Okay, so try on that you actually want to start thinking into the idea that this creative energy, the desire to make, the desire to do, the work that you want to see out there in the world, you actually need to see in front of your own face, usually tangibly, like in the form of writing or some sort of physical manifestation, so that you actually know what it is you've got, and then start making some decisions from there. So here's what happens. We have blocks that stop us from doing our most important work. And those blocks all live, I'm going to go back here for a second, all live in the left brain, right? The analyst, the critic, all the rest of that. If we were to just remove all of those stringent requirements that we know what we're doing and figure things out and look just so, we would be creating and moving around and being ourselves in the world all day long. What we do is we actually navigate with all of those external circumstances and needs for validation that I was talking about before, and we stop ourselves. And a word that is a really helpful word that we're going to talk about today as a super like quick bullet fix is that word should. So this is an important word that you can use in a practical strategy for an instant shift. And we're going to go deeper into what this is and why it works and the actual shift that we're going to do. But I really want you to start focusing. If you do nothing else, if you listen to not one other minute of this training, I want you to actually notice how often you use the word should to yourself. Never mind to others, but to yourself. Should is the word that we use to undermine the talents, skills, abilities, differences, qualities, quirks, and true uniqueness that make us who we are. I should be more outgoing. I should be more confident. I should be faster, funnier, stronger. I should be making more money. I should be thinner, taller, richer, more loving, less picky, more prolific, less scattered, more fit, farther along. I should be writing. I should be cleaning. I should. We spend our days shoulding all over ourselves. And the problem with these shoulds is that they send the message that regardless of what you are doing, regardless of what you desire, what matters to you, what you care about, it's not enough. Should tells your creative spirit, even though you are vibrant, playful, powerful, and able to tell stories that inspire the world, it doesn't matter because the kitchen is a mess and you haven't paid your bills. You should be more practical. You should be better at organizing your life. And once you've cleaned the house and balanced your budget and completed your entire to-do list, then you will be good enough. Then you will be ready. Should is absolutely the worst thing that you can do to cultivate communication between the hemispheres of the brain, find out what you've got inside, and start to generate, manifest in the world, the work of your life, whatever that might be. Okay, so we want to drop the word should, because here's what happens. This whole I should produces what I call the punishment paradigm. We apply impossible standards, which creates the rigid environment of perfectionism. We can never live up to those perfectionistic standards, so we procrastinate. And once we have procrastinated for long enough, we build up so much shame or apprehension about the task at hand, so many feelings, so much loaded up about how it's gone so far or how it should be, that we stop making any progress at all and we go into total paralysis. I call this the punishment paradigm. How we break this cycle, how we get ourselves out of the way and experience that rich, juicy flow that wants to come through us, as clear as the voice in Kevin Costner's head telling him to build the frickin' baseball field, is to make that one simple switch. And instead of saying I should, sorry, I just need to move my notes around here very quickly. Instead of saying I should, get in touch with the right brain and try I feel. Instead of I should, check out I see. Notice what's going on within you. Notice what you're picking up from the outside world. Take a break from the already existing to-do list and instead look deeper into, what do I dream of? What was my dream last night? I get lots of information from my dreams, right? Tuning into what wants to come through, tuning in to what your senses are telling you. Your senses as in your sensual senses, your sensuous information, right? Instead of I should, check out I love, right? So, here's an example for me. So I'm a composer, music director, and my first love. First instrument was piano. My mother tells stories about how she could not even, like, when I walked in the door from school at 7, 8 years old, she could barely even get my coat off of me before my hands were on the keyboard. I don't remember that experience, but I do know how deep my love is for music. And because I made a living in show business, connecting Broadway shows and writing music for TV and getting deep into high levels of the industry, I kind of killed that spontaneous, I just love this part of me. And what I had left was, I should practice, I should write, I should produce, I should submit this, I should call this person, I should, right? So I hate to practice. I've always hated to practice. Ever since I had things to practice for, instead of just this love, this free play in a musical realm, ever since there was a destination, a point or a goal to my work, I just hated practicing. So, and I'll like clean toilets to avoid practicing. I'll do anything. I'll, rearrange the furniture, the cabinets to avoid practicing. But when I go into this place where I'm paying attention to all of those right brain places of dreaming and feeling and freedom and poetry and passion, instead of the I should practice, I get in touch with how much I love feeling my fingers dance over the keys. I remember how much I hear notes like colors, and I dream of painting rainbows. I think about how melodies and grooves come to me in just the rhythm of life, things happening, a train on a track, a door opening and closing, right? Come to me as easily as breathing and walking. I get to play with that. Now, access points to these points of I dream, I see, I love, access points to the right brain over the left brain are many, and you'll see them all over the place. It includes anything like, meditation, yoga, any sort of sensory observations, distinguishing what's pleasurable from what's neutral or negative, any sort of exercise, anything that moves awareness into and through the body, getting out of your head and into somatic consciousness. There are plenty of trainings out there for that, and you can go to any of them. But here's the thing. For those of us who are totally in our heads, the deep, nerdy, left brain perfectionists who have to have everything all lined up on that grid of reality, sometimes it feels a little namby-pamby to just be like, I'll take a yoga class and suddenly I'll be able to stop procrastinating and write my book. It doesn't often work that way. It happens in the moment that it's time to sit down to work that the fear kicks in. And by the way, let me just say, I didn't make this up, but I identify as a recovering perfectionist. I'm sure a lot of you out there identify with some form of perfectionism. And I want to be clear that while I tongue-in-cheek wear the badge of honor of perfectionist, it is not a positive trait in that perfectionism per se is really a type of fear. It's, as Brene Brown said, fear masquerading in a mink coat and Jimmy Choos, right? It's like, it's fear that looks good. It's fear that looks good because I just want it to be great. I just want to do it right. I just want to do my best work. I just want to get one more course under my belt before I put anything out there for the world to see, right? It looks good, but it's still fear. It's not the same as striving for excellence. It's not the same as actually going for your best while staying committed to the vision that will really move the needle, rather than hiding in fear and continuing to toil in solitude and worry about what everybody else thinks. Okay, so just wanted to make that clear. So in the moment that a perfectionist goes to do the work, the fear that can take you out is really, really strong. That is critter brain survival mechanism stuff, fight, flight, or freeze. And it doesn't matter how well you know intellectually that it's no big deal to open a document and start writing your damn blog post. But the fear will take you out. And so in those moments when it's not really accessible to take the I should and drop it into an I dream or an I love or an I feel, we're going to make a simpler switch. The simplest switch of all doesn't require any particular awareness or activity. And it's simply, instead of saying I should, say I choose. Say I choose. And what that might look like is, oops, I'm going to move my notes again. I choose to start. I choose to start. We often go into a task going, I have to finish. I have to get it all done. I have to do it today. No, choose to start. Neil Fiore is a phenomenal productivity expert and talks about tying up your worth with your work. And so often when we've got a project that matters to us, something that truly means becoming more of who we really are or who we long to be, the stakes are so high, we go into that punishment paradigm. We create that perfectionistic or perfectionist standard that we cannot live up to. We procrastinate because we can't live up to the impossible standards we've set for ourselves. And eventually we get into complete paralysis. Forget about finishing. Choose to start. Choose the work. Not, oh, this is hard, I don't want to work. I choose my work. Not, I should move forward. I choose to move forward. I choose to take a step. And I choose to stop now. We'll get into this in a second. I'm going to give you a little teaser of the productivity rules that I give my clients to work with. Some of these counterintuitive, but actually get stuff done sort of rules. I choose to stop now. Choosing to start and choosing to stop can be equally important because, again, it takes us out of the punishment. It takes us out of the beating ourselves up, the self-flagellation. It takes us out of the self-doubt and puts us into movement, which by itself creates trust, confidence, and integrity. I choose to create freely, like pointless play, let her rip, do a shitty first draft. It's really important that you know that, like I had this incredible block for the longest time when it came to writing, that because I was in kind of a high level commercial environment where it had to be like the hot new thing, it had to sound like the latest top 40 thing. Like if it was 3 months old, it was hopelessly dated, you were a loser, you had no future, no career. Like it was really high stakes, super competitive, very fast moving. And I just remember getting to a point where I couldn't get 2 notes into a song. I couldn't get 2 words into a lyric. I couldn't get 10 seconds into playing a keyboard without thinking, ugh, it's hopelessly derivative, it's been done, I'm over, right? I choose to create freely. Give yourself pointless play. Give yourself the opportunity to just throw spaghetti against the wall and see what's there. Your left brain needs that. Give yourself permission to do that before clamping down with the criticism of how it's not good enough. I choose to listen to my heart. I choose the hard stuff. Not I should do that thing, but it's really hard. I choose the hard stuff. I'm a badass. I choose my growth edge. The discomfort that comes along with getting to that next place. I choose my word. Not I should do that thing because I said so, but I choose my word. I hold myself accountable because I choose myself. I choose myself and all that entails. Okay, so let's say that you've now gotten to the point where you can actually shift things around a little bit, tell your inner critic to take a little bit of a nap, and give your right brain a chance to flow and move forward. So now what you want to do is actually give some structure to that flow, okay? And I promised you that my intention was that you would know what to do next. That's going to be that right brain coming forward with what it longs to do, what it desires to do, what your sensory information is about what to do, setting aside all the inner critic, and that I would also give you how to do those next steps. And so what I'm going to do now is a little bit of a teaser. I do months and months on this with my clients on productivity and really the strategies that will work. But once you've freed up your mind a little to get into the productivity, we're going to do just a little bit of a teaser on the productivity rules. So I have 10 total that I work with. And so I'm not going to go through all of those today, but please feel free to get in touch. You'll have that free gift option at freedomforperfectionist.com where you can get more information. We can go into more of the rules there. But for today, we're going to talk about 4 main rules. And what we're doing here is we're giving structure to that flow, right? So that there's, again, for that critter brain, that internal primitive system for survival has some structure, has something to lean into. It's kind of like the banks of a river, right? When we start to get that creative flow going, when we start to give ourselves permission to play and feel and experience, sometimes it can feel a little unmanageable. And especially for a perfectionist, especially for a control freak, a people pleaser, we're all on that spectrum, we perfectionists, we get really uncomfortable with that. We like to know the rules, we like to know how things are going to look, and it can be terrifying to have like a tsunami of life force, creative energy, ideas, too many ideas, right? Or it can be also equally anxiety provoking to have just like a muddy little trickle where we want more ideas, we want more juju, we want more energy, right? So what we're doing with this little teaser on the productivity rules is we're giving structure to the flow. It's really important to do that mindset and emotional work first to really sink into what your right brain has to tell you before the left brain clamps down. Once you get into that energy, now we're going to start working with how do you actually do the work. So we're going to work with these 4 rules today. Number 1, set small, specific goals. Now, here's what I mean by that. I cannot tell you how many times I get a client coming in who says, I've got 20 things on my to-do list and I don't get any of them done. And I say, tell me what's one of the things on your to-do list. Do my website. Or like update my website or make a website, right? These huge projects like buy a house, clean up my house, right? Huge goals. And like dozens of these items on a to-do list. Like, no wonder you're in paralysis. There's no way you can tackle something like that. It's ridiculous. So when I say set small, specific goals, I'm saying take one of those umbrella projects, take one of those big goals, those big visions, and set a really small chunk of it. So instead of make a website, it's going to be write a first draft of an about me paragraph. Collect 10 images that look like what I want the front page of my website to look like. Book a friend to take some pictures of me as a test photo shoot, or book a photo shoot, right? It can be any number of little pieces. What is it that would make you happy in terms of progress on your website? Yes, you should have a website. Yes, you should write a bunch of copy. Yes, you should hire a bunch of people to do stuff for you. But what do you actually want from that website? What will having that do for you, right? Go there and then choose a tiny little chunk that when you think of it, you're like, ooh, if I actually got that done, that would be amazing. And then break that down into those small, specific goals. Next, we're going to put daily action in your schedule. This is calendar blocking. So once you've set that goal, don't just say, I'm gonna get it done this week, because you won't. What you do is you actually say, okay, that task that I just chunked out, I'm gonna further break down into steps 1 through 5, Monday through Friday, and I'm going to work number 3 in short, regular sessions. So you're going to calendar block the actual work that you do. Now, I know you guys, this is super nuts and bolts. And for those of you who are super right brain and for whom you're not constantly plagued by left brain stuff, if you never procrastinate, if you never struggle with issues of perfectionism, probably this whole training isn't for you. And great job getting all your stuff done exactly when you want to do it and feeling total satisfaction and fulfillment at all times. I want that for all of you, and lots of that is available. But for those of us who are not necessarily doing all this stuff, try on, it's not that you should be doing it, right? All of this is not, I should be doing that. Oh, I know I should be doing that. No, no, no. I don't want you to hear me like that. I want you to hear me like, now that I have a sense of what I most deeply desire to complete, finish, manifest, now that I have a sense of where I want to put my effort to move the needle, give me the juicy bits, give me the means, give me the structure, and I choose to follow one of these rules. I choose to adopt one of these, like trying it for a week, okay? So it's not, I should put that in my calendar. It's if I choose to put 20 minutes in my calendar to write on that project that I've been procrastinating on, my book, my blog, my website, my business plan, right? I will have made progress. I will get the opportunity to move the needle. Now, why we procrastinate? Again, we hold ourselves to these really high standards. Don't do anything else but put 20 minutes in the calendar and commit to showing up. That's it. Your work does not equal your worth. What you're doing is building trust with yourself, building a level of integrity, a foundation from which you can build a structure that you can just count on. Like, I know I'm going to do that because it's in the calendar. How many of us right now, as we sit here without having already done this for a while, can say, I know if I put it in the calendar, it's going to get done. This is how you build it. Don't make yourself wrong for not already being there. Okay? Baby steps, one thing at a time. So you choose that small goal. You calendar block. You put no matter what appointment in the calendar, like a doctor's appointment with some specialist you've been waiting to see for 3 years, like a coffee date with a celebrity you love, like you would lose your mind if you met them in person. Show up like you're meeting them. You're showing up for you. Okay. And then use a timer. So I'm going to reverse 3 and 4 here for a second, but use a timer when it's time to sit down and work, when it's time to show up for the appointment, sit down and work and use a timer. This accomplishes a number of really juicy, lovely things. First of all, when you start, you create a do not disturb zone. You focus your attention, because that timer is rolling, in a way that you won't if it's just, oh, right, I was going to get started around 4. Well, I got to pee. I could get a cup of coffee. Maybe 4:30. No. You're sitting down to work for 20 minutes. You're going to set a timer. You're focusing on that task and that task alone for 20 minutes, nothing else. Then when the timer goes off, you stop. You stop. So much of the time as perfectionists, We get on a roll. We think we have to keep going. We trick ourselves into starting by saying, I'll just do 20 minutes. I'll just do 5 minutes. And then we make ourselves keep going. We move the goalpost, dangling that carrot farther and farther and farther away. And that is soul crushing. I coach my clients as much on stopping as I do on coaching them on starting, because you must build up that trust with yourself, not only to start, but to actually give yourself the win, the break, the relaxation, the pleasure of having accomplished that goal. Not necessarily to have finished something, not necessarily to have done something great, not necessarily to have fulfilled your life's mission, but just to have shown up and paid attention to the task at hand, the important, not necessarily urgent work of your life for 20 minutes. And that's powerful and important, and you got to celebrate that win and acknowledge that you've done that. Then you kick in all of these beautiful principles of neuroplasticity, because when you stop right at when the timer stops, not at a stopping point, not when you fizzled out, not when you're out of ideas, but when the timer goes off, you might be right in the middle of something and you stop and you go away. Now you've set your brain in motion. Now you've set all sorts of subconscious goodies in motion, going to work on the next step, a solution to that problem, another piece of content, whatever it is. So that's why you get like great ideas in the shower and great ideas. I do showers and bike rides. Showers and bike rides are my place to have great ideas, right? And when you get a chance to set your brain into park, or into neutral rather, just like let it idle and then go do your other things, you engage principles of refractory periods, principles of reflection. Your brain goes to work for you. And then that idea pops like effortlessly. And then you build the trust with yourself that you know it's okay to start again. It's not so scary or so awful to start again, because you're not committing yourself to go down the rabbit hole of 4 hours of tearing your hair out and sweating and feeling shitty about everything. You're simply signing up for another 20 minutes. That's easy. I can do it. Right? And so it's incredibly important to use the timer, because you set all sorts of good stuff in motion around creativity and inspiration, commitment, integrity, and trust in the self. And finally, working in short, regular sessions. This is, again, set a short period of time. Don't put a 4-hour block on the calendar, because here's what happens. I did this all the time. Oh, I've got Friday free. I'll book out Friday 1 to 5 to write my next song. It's 4 hours. I can do it. First chorus, bridge, chorus out. I got it. Right? And then Friday 1 o'clock rolls around. Just like I was saying before, oh, I didn't finish lunch yet. Maybe I'll just start at 1:30. Oh, I'm just going to finish this quick phone call. Oh, let me Google some ideas, right? 2 o'clock rolls around. That's okay. I still got 3 hours. You get the idea. 4:30 rolls around. Now you start beating yourself up. Oh, I didn't get anything done today. Oh, now I've got to wait until the next time I've got 4 hours to put on the calendar. And when's that going to be? 3 weeks, 4 months, whatever it is. No, work in short, regular sessions. Put 20 minutes on the calendar, half an hour on the calendar, and put multiple sessions that are consistent, okay? Muse of creativity, the flow of momentum loves consistency. You got to show up again and again and again. It might not feel great every time, but set a short enough session that is not going to kill you. Set a timer and know that you're going to stop when the timer goes off, and then really stop. Do this consistently over time. Watch the miracles happen. Okay, so with that, I'm just going to close and let you know that you can get more of this. And I know this is probably going to be on the page that you're looking at right now, but freedomforperfectionists.com. I have a video series there that talks about, well, basically the 5 keys to maximize your results with minimum stress. And while this training that you just watched goes more into like the functioning of the brain and getting to a point where you're able to take action and then structures to take that action, the 5 keys goes deeper into some of those emotional pieces, when the fears come up, when the anxieties come up, how to manage those before you actually get to the point of, okay, it's time to work. So these work in complement to each other, and I highly recommend grabbing those. I'm going to stop the share now and come back and just say thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for trying on whatever in this training landed as just a little bit useful. I invite you to take that and run with it. I invite you to try just one of those productivity rules that I shared with you. Obviously, they all dovetail and work nicely together, but pick just one. And you don't have to believe a word I've said. That's the other thing, you know, picky perfectionists like myself. I'm a smarty pants. I'm well-researched. I believe in science. If something doesn't quite, you know, cover every single base of that topic, I'm like, well, I don't know. That might be a little superficial. This is clearly a single one-shot training that doesn't go into every detail of how life works and how our bodies and brains work. But try on that this might be useful for you. Try on that this might get you somewhere. And don't just listen to it or nod or agree or disagree or have an opinion. Put something in here that you've heard today to work for you. And then let us know how it went. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Lots of love. Bye.
All righty, everybody. How did that go for you? One of the things that I just love is how Deborah shares that getting creative and actually making some kind of physical manifestation of the thing that you want to create gets rid of the blocks and all of the shoulds, right? The shoulds that stop us from doing the work that we are meant to do in the world. So just out of curiosity, how many of you have ever found yourself doing that, shooting all over yourself? Before I learned this, yeah, it happened a lot, and I still catch it happening in my family. So it's kind of interesting when you start paying attention and how often you're going to start to see you stop yourself when you're shooting all over yourself. I also love the productivity rules; those were great. So I would love to hear from you. Make sure you post this in our Soul Spark Facebook group. What is one small specific goal that you are setting for yourself, either to finish off 2020 or to start off 2021? And like Deborah said, just try this on. Take something that you heard in the session, try it on for size, uh, do something with it. Take something that you heard in the session, put it to work, and then go share it in the group so that we can celebrate your success along the way. So for those of you that want to keep going deeper into this work, Deborah's given us this amazing gift. You're gonna have the button down here below me somewhere. It's called Freedom for Perfectionists: the 5 Keys to Maximize Your Results with Minimum Stress. And she did share it in her session as well. So make sure you click on that, get access to it. And it is a 3-part video series designed to turbocharge your productivity and creative flow while reducing the stress of overwhelm, procrastination, and daily distractions. So you're going to have some step-by-step instructions in there that you can literally start on like immediately, and a special Q&A worksheet for deeper insights and lasting results. So make sure you get your hands on that. Let's continue this fired up energy. Let's keep it going. I want to thank you for being here for today's session of the Soul Spark Online Retreat. And as you can see, we are bringing the fire. We are bringing the energy back up. I'm Entry Ivanka, your host, and wherever you are in the world, have a good afternoon, have a good evening. And I am so looking forward to hopping into the group and seeing what is the one action that you are committed to taking after watching Deborah's session. So have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you later in the group. Bye.